All right. So according to YouTube, I'm live. We'll see if anybody's awake. So it's only 8 o'clock on the West Coast where I am, but I don't know, if anybody's around. This is so random. But I haven't put out a video in a while and I feel bad. But work, 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 work. I don't see anybody showing up. Do-do-do. Well, if anybody decides to show up, this is Dawn coming live from Shotgun's rehearsal space, where I've just sent out the rehearsal report for the night. James and 55 and Alive, how you doing? So somebody's in the house. Well, Vegas, you're in pretty much the same time zone as me. Lisa, okay. Lisa, I'll remember that, Lisa. How are you guys doing today? Anything? So I just got finished. You know how minivans have that like the little center console thing that you can put like your drinks in, and like it usually has like storage in it and it's right between the seats. I've always wanted to rip that out so I can easierly, that's not a word, so I can have a smoother path between the seats without having to get out the van. So before I had to like get out the van and then go in the side door, or I'd have to like climb over this little middle console area. And since they have tools here, better tools than me, like they have a whole shop over there. This is actually a rehearsal space. Don't get thrown off by the wood back there. I borrowed a couple of tools from their shop and went out to my van in the parking lot and I pulled that sucker out. So I'm like super excited because now I can just go between the seats without having like to climb over anything or do that whole thing where I go out of my driver's side door and then enter through the side door. So I'm pretty excited about that. I also sketched up. Well, yeah, I could have done that too. I actually beat it up pretty bad. So yeah, but I got it out. So now I can there's a huge echo in here. Are you guys hearing that? It's like super echoey because like it's empty right now. Everybody's gone home. But I'm so happy that now I can just walk between my seats and go to the back, and I don't have to be like popping out of my driver's side door and then going into basically my house door. I can just like go between the seats and stay inside. And then when I wake up in the morning again, I can just go between the seats way easier now, get in my driver's seat. And also, like, if something happened, like it was like way too hard to get in my driver's seat and drive away. So yeah, and I did, it wasn't really serving me as storage. It was becoming like the junk drawer between my seats. So being able to get rid of it feels so good. But now I have this exposed metal, and I'll show the pictures. I took pictures. I'll show the pictures in another video. And yes, I'm gonna get back to editing videos. This just took over my life like way harder than I expected. But now that I've removed that center console thing, I have basically this exposed metal between the seats because it was like bolted down into that space and the carpet in the minivan was cut around it. So like I may just get a little like rug piece or carpet piece or something and throw it over it. But I'm still happier being able to get between the seats without that thing in my way. So that's the most exciting thing I've done with the van. As I said in the previous video, I bought some Ryobi tools. And so on Monday, fingers crossed, I'm going to go to Home Depot and like get some wood. I am still in California. Shotgun is a theater in Berkeley. Somebody I worked with at my old job recommended me for stage management for this show I'm working on now. Again, it's called Kill Move Paradise. And of course, the camera's making it backwards. But anyway, yeah, Shotgun is in Berkeley. And the show opens July 5th and is open until August 4th. and I will be employed with them until that date. And hopefully I'll do a good job and they'll want me to come back. And awesome, we've had a bunch more people show up. Well, we have 5 people. That's not really, I don't know how successful a live stream is with 5 people. But if everybody wants to give me a thumbs up, that would help me out. I'm really close to 1,000 subscribers, which shocks me, seeing as I've been a really bad YouTuber lately. And once I needed to focus on this show, like it just took over my life for the past couple weeks. That, and I've been doing my exercise program. So I've been going to Planet Fitness, not just to shower, but to do basically the strength machines 3 times a week. And then 2 times a week, I go to the park. Happy Pride. You know what I'm mad about? I'm going to miss Pride because I'm going to be in tech. I'm going to miss SF Pride, and I don't have enough free time to go anywhere else. So I'm going to miss Pride basically because I'm working. So yeah. Yeah, James, I don't know that I want to keep working here as like a salary employee, but being hired consistently for shows a lot would help. I can pretty much just do this and not have another job, which is great because there's been times where I stage manage because I'm non-union. I'm trying to get union because I'll get paid better if I get union. But there's been times I've stage managed when and I was non-union where I wasn't getting paid enough for that to just be my job, but I was still working like an insane amount of hours. Like this show, I'm doing about 48 hours a week. So it's evening rehearsals on Tuesday through Friday. And then on the weekends, like today, we have rehearsals from 11 to 5. Oh yeah. And they have a parking lot. And honestly, I do stay, sorry, James, let me read the question because people will not be, paying attention. Do I sleep close by the job? Yes, that's what's kind of awesome. In fact, last night I just slept in their parking lot. It's a little parking lot. It only has like 4 spaces. But I just stayed here because I left a late rehearsal and then I had to be back in here for the 11 o'clock rehearsal, which means I had to be there. You know, I always come in a couple hours before the setup, and then my assistant comes in about a half an hour after me. And we make sure the room's prepared before it starts. So since rehearsal was late and I had to be here early, I just stayed here. I mean, that's what's awesome. There's a bathroom here, not a shower, but you know, there's a sink with running water. There's a kitchen. There's a refrigerator. Not gonna lie, I got some stuff up in the refrigerator because like every once in a while it's nice. I don't have the money to make a huge investment to have a refrigerator in my van right now. I do think it's something I want down the line, but there's a fridge here. There's a bathroom with a toilet. So like if I need to pop in and use the toilet, like, you know, it's there. I can like brush my teeth. I can run some hot water in the sink and, you know, take a washcloth and wipe down all the funky bits and then like, you know, be ready for rehearsal. And all I have to do is come in a little bit before everybody. There are renters that use this building as well. So like, you know, you just don't want to look too weird in front of the renters, but you know, honestly don't care. Like if Shotgun asks me, I'll be like, hey, I live in my van straight up. And so like, you know, it was easier for me not to go all the way to the gym, but it hasn't come up. I mean, my assistant knows. I ended up telling her because she was worried about me leaving really late. And I was like, I'm just going to be straight up with you and tell you. And so like that happened and she's pretty cool. I've worked with her before. So that was a bunch of rambling. Sac Pride was this weekend. You're just making me sad. I don't want to know about Pride dates because I'm going to miss all of them. I'm going to be like here. Maybe me and my assistant can do like a happy Pride together. I don't know how she identifies, but I know she was talking about being sad about missing Pride. We have our own personal little like Pride celebration. I don't know. It is nice to catch you as well. So is anybody asking me any questions? Let's see. If everybody who's in could just give me a thumbs up and help me out on YouTube, that'd be great. It doesn't have a drain in the floor because it's just a restroom. This is a converted space. So it used to be, I believe it was a bookstore, and before Shotgun got it, and now Shotgun has it. And so it has a shop, a costume, a scene shop where they build the sets and stuff, a costume shop, and two studios, one of which is our rehearsal space, and like a green room that they all call a salon, but it's just become like another small rented space. So like there's not a drain in the floor, but honestly, I think a washcloth and some hot water, like even when I had a house with a shower and a tub, like I would do that all the time when I was in a rush in the morning. Like in a house, I would just like put some soap and water on the washcloth, wash all the critical spots, throw on some clothes and roll. And when I 3 or 4 times a week, I'm at Planet Fitness under the shower, so it's not that big of a deal. So yeah, but it doesn't have a drain in the floor. It's just like, it's like those family bathrooms that you see at like Targets and stuff like that. It's basically that size. So yeah. Oh, I'm not really that sad. Like I'm happy to have this job. Like I'm like, yeah, like Pride's, it would have been nice to go to Pride. I went to SF Pride. I volunteered at SF Pride last year, which was my first Pride on the West Coast. And I was kind of sorry I volunteered for it because I just ended up like being backstage helping out and not really enjoying the events. I've volunteered and stuff before and still kind of been immersed in the event, and that didn't happen last year, so I was kind of sad about it. So I was like planning this year, and then that didn't work out. But I think Oakland has a Pride like later on, because Oakland Pride goes under the radar, but I think I'd be free for Oakland Pride. So that's when I might just have my Pride fun. Girl, at RTR, I took 15. Well, the thing about RTR is like you're out in the middle of nowhere. Honestly, I can get to a Planet Fitness in about 10 to 15 minutes. So like if I'm like feeling like really gross and I need to be immersed under a shower, it's really easy. It's different when you're out on BLM land because like you're so far from everything. Like you're planning like a day trip to like go get supplies. And that gets back into like the positives and negatives of urban van dwelling versus like camping dwelling. I don't know how else to say it, but like with urban van dwelling, like you're really close to things. Like you're close to supermarkets, you're close to a lot of bathrooms, like there's public restrooms everywhere. The bad parts are you have to move constantly. You have to be more like aware, I think, of that, of like how often you have to move when you're urban van dwelling. Now, in my situation, I have a job. And so a lot of my movement is basically, it's not like I was planning to be lazing around all day and now I have to like force myself up and now move. I have a job I have to get to. I have errands I have to run. I have things I have to do. So there are times I would be using the vehicle anyway, and I just do it. So it's super convenient for me. But people who don't have that, like BLM land is really good for them because like they can go and park and be there for days and be off the grid. And then like, after a week, go into town, get some supplies, and then go back and be, gone 7 to 14 days. And that's not really my lifestyle right now. There might be a time like in the future where I could take bulk days like that and go away. And in that situation, like how quickly I can access a shower if I really get grimy might be a different scenario. But in like this urban vandalism scenario that I personally am living in, like I need to move anyway, to do stuff. James, I would say if you can get a full-size van, get it. A full-size versus a minivan. Like, don't get me wrong, I love like my minivan, but like a full-size van is just as convenient as far as flexibility as a minivan. High tops are only challenging because like there's places where they say, you can't be there a certain height, weight, whatever. And I think they notice more if they want to enforce that rule if you're in a high top van. But honestly, like there's a lot of great stuff about full size vans and cargo vans. Is they're a little more built in a way that adapts well to living in them. I don't even know how to explain that. Well, like there was that inconvenient little cup holder thing in the middle of the seats for my personal minivan. Now, what I like about the Sienna is it is larger than a lot of other minivans. Like Mazda has a really tiny thing that's called a minivan, and it's so much smaller than my van. It's like shocking. And like going into parking garages and seeing where my van can't fit that other minivans do, I realized there's a huge range of the word minivan. Like the Astro, I don't even know what category that falls into, but it's a relatively small van, but it's kind of boxy. And so sometimes that makes it feel like it's a little less claustrophobic on the inside. I'm personally not claustrophobic, but just like comparing the two, it tends to have like a more, whereas my van does this weird thing. I don't know. But I love my van. It was great. Let me see. Is I miss anything else? Let me see. I'm just looking. If I don't have a job that interferes with it, I probably will go to RTR next year. But right now, I'm also trying to build my contacts to try to get equity. Equity is a union for stage managers and actors in theater. There are other acting unions as well, but for theater, it's equity. And stage managers are in the same union as the actors. If I get into equity, it standardizes my pay, but the way you get into equity is you have to do equity shows with equity theaters, which this is not, by the way, but they're still paying enough that I'm really enjoying this job and I'm able to just do it. Most people in the Bay wouldn't, because rent is like my entire rent for like one apartment before they like feed themselves and pay additional bills is all that I need to actually just get by for a month. So yeah, my assistant probably pays it just in rent what I pay for all of my monthly expenses. So that's good. But at the same time, I'd like to get to the point where I'm not only able to cover my expenses, but also have extra money to put away, and going union would help me do that. Because right now it's very hard for me to have extra money. I'm pretty much bringing in enough to pay for me to continue staying. And I'm at the point where I want to evolve. I want to evolve the van. I want to have money to put away. I want to have a saving so that if I'm not working for 2, 3, 4 months or whatever, or if I want to choose not to work for 2, 3, 4 months, that I have a nest egg that allows me to do it. I have no desire to like completely stop working. I actually like what I do, but I'd like it to be more of a choice and less of a need, if that makes any sense. So that's sort of where I am with that. Sleeping in my van has been comfortable from day one. James, I have never, ever, ever been uncomfortable sleeping in that van. I think one of the things with me is, I became homeless and I was sleeping in a car. And I know there are people who choose to sleep in a car and that's totally comfortable for them, but I did not like car seats, and I am not a small person. There's like no good way for me to be in a bed situation and feel like I was in bed in my car. I felt like I was always in a car. And once I got the van and I put the curtain up and I put the camping cot in there, I had a bed. And so like being able to, going from like a few months of living in a car where like I always felt like I was just like in a car, being able to go to a van where I went into this sectioned off space that was like my room, my space, my home. I've been like super comfortable from day one. Like nothing about sleeping in the van has been uncomfortable for me, except for the couple of days I didn't have a bed. I'm lying. The couple of days I didn't have a bed yet before I went and bought the camping cot, that was a little uncomfortable because like it's not a conversion van. So it didn't have like seats that were ready to like lay down. So those were the only couple of days. But since I've had like a bed in it, it's been comfortable. And city noises do not bother me. Like I hear people walking, outside the van all the time. Like you hear little sounds of like trucks and stuff. And for me, that is just ambient noise. Like honestly, when I was at RTR and like when I was, out in Slab City and the light just went out because it's a motion light. Woo! Oh. Check out the room. That's fun. But like when I was in Slab City, like situations like that were way more uncomfortable to sleep in. I'm just bouncing you guys all around. Sorry. Than the city, because I've grown up in a city. I'm used to city noise. I've always heard it outside my windows, so I don't need it to be like super super quiet. That was a long answer. I'm going to start sleeping at my job at the dock, so I have the advantage. I will have that advantage and use the parking lot. I get it. Yeah, it's like, it is so awesome when my jobs have a parking lot, because that means I can choose to just stay there and sleep almost up until I need to walk in the door. Or if I want to, I can leave, but I can come back. When I was working in Cupertino, that was a more interesting situation. Like, I couldn't stay in the parking lot overnight. But there was like a 24-hour Safeway not far, and I ended up going there. But this job, yeah, if I want to stay in the lot, I can just stay in the lot. But when we moved to the theater for the actual show, when we leave the rehearsal space, unfortunately, all the parking out there is right by BART. And for people who aren't from California, BART is basically what they call their metro subway system. I thought it was so weird when I got out here. People were talking about, yeah, I'm going to take the BART. And I was like, who? And it's actually what they call their subway metro system. But the theater is like right by BART, and a lot of the parking around it is either time limited or paid. So once we move into the theater and the show is actually running, unfortunately, it won't be as convenient as while we're at the rehearsal space. And yeah, that's not going to be as fun. Let's see. Let me catch up on what people... yes, I try not to beg for money gifts. I'm trying not to be that person, but I do have a PayPal. It's not in the description of this video, but almost all of my videos, because people have wanted to send me gifts before. And honestly, it has helped. There's been times where like I was almost out of money and I couldn't get gas, and I got a gift at just the right time. So I'm not going to pretend like it doesn't help. But I try to be as self-sufficient as possible. But I am open to PayPal gifts if people really want to give it. And I have a PayPal link in most of my videos, and that's because people ask for it. So it's there if you want to use it. Oh, James. Yeah, I was just generally talking also, like, because I feel like that comes up a lot. Like, people talk about how noisy it is to like sleep in like the Walmart parking lot and talk about needing earplugs. Now, one reason I don't like wearing earplugs if I'm sleeping in the world is like, if there's a noise that I need to know or need to be alerted to, I want to get up. So there's no situation where I like want to cut out sort of the world and its sound. So I always find like, oh, we'll just put in earplugs to be like a little dangerous. And like, I guess people who are really light sleepers, like they need that because they can't fall asleep with the noise. But I can, like, as long as it's not really loud and annoying, like I can fall asleep with the noise, but I also want my ears to be aware of the reason to wake up. And also, as far as like being comfortable sleeping in the van, like I personally I don't have a standard mattress, and I haven't built a custom bed yet. So like I'm on a camping cot, and I slept on a camping cot in an apartment once because also I couldn't afford a bed. Like all of my money was going for rent and eating and basic survival. And eventually I ended up getting something free off of Craigslist. I just went and picked it up and like brought it back to the apartment. But I slept for a long time in an apartment on a camping cot. And I've also had a situation where I was in an apartment and with other people and roommate situations and such, where I was sleeping on the floor because, again, I couldn't afford a bed yet. And I'd had a bunch of situations where beds were already there because I've done a lot of like room renting with previously existing roommates. And so sometimes like beds were already there. So I never had a reason to invest in a bed that I was going to haul around. And so like if a bed wasn't there, especially when I was like really, really like strapped, I would either sleep on the floor on blankets, or I slept on a camping cot as my bed for a very long time inside a Sticks and Bricks home. And so I guess like for me, it's just as comfortable as it was in a house to do that in a van. blah, 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 blah. James, I'm just like extending your questions for no good reason except that I'm a rambler. Thank you, Jojo. Yes, please don't forget to thumbs up and share the channel. Carol, I am at the rehearsal space for the show that I am stage managing. So for anybody who's jumped in and you're wondering where the heck am I live streaming from, this is the rehearsal space at Shotgun. So I'm in the rehearsal room that I was working at earlier today. And since I have a really good internet connection, I've been a bad YouTuber and I haven't gotten to a lot of the video editing I wanted to do. I was like, I'm going to do a live, check in with my people, let them know I still love them. I love all their dedication. I love the time people have invested in watching my videos and replying to them. So yeah. And if you want to go back and watch this after, it's posted, I'll talk about some of the advantages of working here, like the parking lot and the bathroom and the kitchen with the refrigerator. It's not a full kitchen. It's basically like, I don't know what they call it, a kitchenette. It has a fridge. There's a coffee maker, a hot water thingy. There's no stove. There is a microwave. And it's a nice little thing to know I can come to every day, heat up a hot meal a little easier. If there's one thing I would love a full-sized or larger van for, it's counter space to cook. Like I can cook in my van. I've figured out how to do it, but it's really inconvenient. And I did burn my leg one time because I'm cooking sitting down. And I have one of those Coleman like things where the handle's underneath and you bring it up and then you lock it in so that it doesn't tumble. And I was dumb and I didn't slide the little piece up that locks it. And so I took it off the burner and it flipped down and hit my leg. And I had like a horrible burn on my leg. Like it was really hard to wear pants for like a week. So the biggest thing I would want out of a full size or a larger van, if I got one in the future, would be counter space that I could use to cook with. Because I can do it and I can do it just fine for what I want to eat, but it's highly inconvenient sometimes. Like sleeping is easy. And because I work and I get out the van and I go to the park to exercise and I go to the gym to exercise now, like I have so much time outside the van. And the van, why I don't mind a smaller van is because my van is for two purposes. It's for sleeping and it's for eating. Like people are like, oh, you need to stand up and walk around. I was like, when I want to do that, I get out the van. Like it's not that big a deal. Like I feel like people stress out too much about like vans not being standing height. Because the point of, you might as well live in a house if that's your only obsession. And I'm not saying it's not great to stand up in a van. It's great if you can get it, but if you can't get it, the point of the van is that your basic needs can travel with you. And so it's not supposed to be like a house where you go in and you can walk down hallways and up and down stairs and you really have no reason to leave your temperature controlled, always, stagnant place. And for some people that kind of comfort is primary and they take that over being able to roam any day. But like the other day, like I went to the park where I usually exercise and it was super crowded and there were all these families there. And don't get me wrong, I like families, but there were like kids and it looked like this big event was going on in this park where I usually exercise. This video has no point. I'm literally rambling. But anyway, I was like, I don't really want to deal with being in the middle of all this. So I go in Google and I search for another place. And then I find this park that I had never been to. It was actually a shoreline that I'd never been to. And it was really beautiful. And I don't think I would be in situations like that. It really motivates me to get out and look and see what's around me. And I don't have to go that far to get the stimulation of like, wow, I've never been here before. Look at this beautiful place. So even if I was in a house and I was trying to exercise every day, I would always, and I've done this before, I would always go to the same living room. So there is no like stimulation of, wow, look at this new place I discovered. And what I'm loving is those moments where I discover things that aren't that far away that I still probably never would stumbled upon if I wasn't like saying, okay, where can I go and be out in the air and like do my cardio? And so I discover these new places all the time because of, being in this van life. And so like a lot of like Instagram van life is about like, checking off as many boxes of states you visit. But I think like having a nomadic spirit is deeper than that. I mean, yes, I feel honestly a little restricted by the fact I have to work, but I'm loving working on the show. I'm loving the people I'm working with. And when I need that stimulation of something new, it doesn't have to be I'm leaving, Berkeley, or I'm leaving California, or I'm state hopping, or like going to all the national parks. Like those things are great, and there's things in that I would like to do, but also like there are so many like parks, just regular like neighborhood parks. There's shoreline areas. There's so many pretty places around that maybe take like 15, 20, 30 minutes to get to that I haven't seen yet. So that part's fun. Yeah, that was a big Randall. Sherman's Diary. If you go there, check out Sherman's Diary bar. I will thank James. Yeah, no earplugs. I'm just reading comments right now. He was installing. I'm just reading Tasha. I'm reading your comment right now. You're installing a new TV and it was raining. You got a waterfall coming out from my high top Vanlife. What do you mean the waterfall's coming out from your high top? Is it just like falling over the sides? I'm just trying to imagine this waterfall. It's not a leak. Please tell me it's not a leak. Leaks aren't fun. Yes, I'm at basically my job. Live stream from work. Ooh. That right back there, that's the sound computer. That ramp is like a partial of the set, spoiler alert, but you can't see the whole thing anyway. That's the front door over there. That's the shelf where, what is that shelf? That's the shelf for their personal belongings. This blue shelf behind me, that's our props for the show. We don't really have that many. It's kind of a sparsely propped show. And then that black cabinet back there, that's just stage management supplies. Those are speakers, obviously. They're just spares, I think, that they store in the room. That's a bunch of stuff we don't use. Let's see. This is the table where I sit at while they're rehearsing. Let's see what we can see. I'm going to turn that around because that's the set. Spoiler alert. That's something the director left. This is our schedule for the day. I do what's called a daily call. So I have to write down like basically the rehearsal call. That was from my lunch. I had a salad. I was smart and I bought all the boys. There's only guys in my show. All the boys always run out and buy food every rehearsal. And I'm like, that's silly. I can spend I got 2 bags of salad for $7 and that's 4 meals. So I bring in these containers filled with salad and I usually eat that. This is my water bottle. This is my tea/coffee cup. This is from my yesterday's salad. I washed it and left it here. This is just general supplies. This is my book where I keep all the blocking for the show. So yeah, it was getting filled up pretty fast. All my tabs marking all the blocking. So all this is basically moves the guys making the show. So that's the script. And then it's like miscellaneous information about the show. And yeah, so that's the tour. This is my notebook that I keep all my notes in. So that's the tour. Oh no, see, while I was doing that, a bunch of comments just came up. I wasn't getting any comments. So I was like, let me do a tour. Hi from Atlanta. Oh no, man. So it was a leak, Tasha. That sucks. I used to have an RV like a long time ago in Maryland, and I bought it used from somebody, and I basically ended up selling it because it was one of those old Class C's they're ugly anyway. And it was a bad decision. I would never have an RV in the city again, like ever. But I ended up selling it in a month and moving into a co-living situation in Maryland. But yeah, I wish you luck on getting that fixed. Leaks are not fun. Yeah. Repairs suck. Like, yeah, when you're doing builds, it's like, you're enhancing the van. When something breaks, it's just like, it's like, yeah, I agree. I don't even want to think about it. Right now, the van's running great. I do need to get brakes, but it's not like they're that bad. It's just like he told me to make it a priority. So I'm going to get that done within the next couple of weeks. But yeah. Nobody else is here, James. I could probably honestly sit in this room all night and nobody would come. Like, I'm the person who sets the alarm and closes down the building. That is stage managing. You get here before everybody else and you're here after everybody else. The only time people are here later than me is if there's a renter who's rented the space later. And yeah, there's not like a facilities person that's gonna like come in and be like, why are you still here? Like I could literally just stay here. I'm not going to, but yeah, I could just stay here. I'm the only person in this entire building and probably will be till tomorrow morning. Tasha, it's good you did your research. Ain't nothing like trying something and then finding out afterward. It's good to get it from somebody else and not have to be the person that's like, well, I tried it and it didn't work. At least you can just take somebody else's battle and move forward. I am glad you caught the live as well. Hello. Yeah. The thing is, I like going back to my van, but I like that, like, I'm literally right outside and I could hit, like, the code and come in and use the bathroom if I want to. That's one of the unfun, like, I don't mind, like, doing the bucket thing overnight, which is what I usually do. But it's nice to be able to just walk into a flushable toilet and, like, use it and not have to. And I dump my pee bucket, like, every day. Like, when I get up in the morning, like, it's going somewhere. Occasionally it's plants on the side of the road, be honest. But yeah, it's nice to be able to, I could literally just pop back in here like at any time in the middle of the night and like use the bathroom. But I wouldn't want to sleep in here. Like, there's no real comfortable place to lay down. I'd rather be in my bed in the van any day. But I could just stay here for hours and hours. I'm pretty sure the sun went down. I don't know. It's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the sun's gone down by that point. That's also how I got that middle console out of my van today, because like nobody else was here. So I went in the shop and I grabbed a pry bar and a hammer, and then I used my new screw gun drill, and I was able to just like really fight with that thing until it popped out. And I was like so happy because I was like, yes, I can now walk between the seats. That stupid little middle console cup holder thing is gone. Because it didn't need it. It was just annoying, you know what I'm saying? And since the day I bought that van, that's been on my list to do. And so be able to just have this whole parking lot with nobody here and just like rip that thing out. Even though there was this old guy, I'm not insulting him. He had to have been like at least like in his 70s or something. Yeah. So this old white guy is walking past the parking lot and he sees this black woman with like a pry bar, like in a van, like fighting. And he just stares like for a second. And I don't know what he thought I was doing, but I'm sure like, I'm glad the cops didn't show up and I didn't have to explain that I owned the van that I was manhandling at that point. And I pulled out a bunch of stuff. Then it was just laying on the ground around the car because, again, I was the only person in the parking lot. And yeah, it was kind of a funny moment. I didn't act like I was doing anything wrong. I just acknowledged him staring for like 5 seconds and then went back to what I was doing. And so yeah, that was funny. He was just staring, like, wait, what is she doing? And then I guess he was just like, okay, whatever. And then he kept walking down the street. So that was the fun thing I did. I have, in the description of my videos, if you click the little arrow, there is my email address has been is in that description. So in the description, there is contact information. There's also contact information on donnavanlife.com. And also like, you know, so there's There's dawnofvanlife.com, which has it. That does not write. Dawnofvanlife.com. That says Dan. I can't get this right. Vanlife.com. Okay, the last one's right. I am so horrible at this. And then, of course, I am on Instagram at Dawn of Wanderlust now. So yeah, and like I'm just I'm just really just caught up in the show right now and like overwhelmed with like emails like crazy because I send the report every night and all the designers reply to it, and you know it can get really crazy. So like if I'm delayed in catching up in messages, it's just because like right now while we're in rehearsal, like everything is like busy because I've had like 5 videos I want to edit like on my device for a minute and I just haven't gotten back to it. But it's been so fun. Like I love my cast, I love the director, I love my assistant. Like it's great. I say my assistant like I'm somebody important. She's the production assistant, but the job she's doing is basically like an assistant stage manager's job. And so I just call her my assistant. I feel weird calling her a PA because I feel like production assistant feels lower than the job she's doing. She's also an excellent stage manager in her own right. She just graduated from college, but I had worked with her before while she was still a student, but stage managing a show at a really tiny theater. And she was amazing. And so I was so excited. So I knew her before this job started. So I knew who I was getting. And she's so much more like my partner in running the room than like a standard like production assistant or ASM in the way I think about them. I've just had some really unexperienced people be either my production assistant or my ASM. So to have like somebody I know could do my job is actually good. Like there's no like jealousy or anger about it. Like I know she could run the show as efficiently as I am. And so it's more like having somebody who's my partner in running the show than having somebody I feel like I have to teach or to instruct. Like a lot of times she's on top of stuff before I even ask it. And it's like, it's super amazing. I wish we could be like a permanent team forever, but stage theater doesn't work like that. Like teams are constantly changing and sometimes you get to work with people again in different capacities. I've worked with people who were my ASM and then I was their ASM, but I think it's great when the two of you already know each other and you already know sort of the limits of your skill set and you're not trying to like figure it out. And I think the only reason they even only hired her as a PA is because of her not having graduated from college yet. Because honestly, experience and skill wise, I consider her pretty equal with me. So yeah, she's awesome. Great. So anybody have any questions? I don't even know how long I've been on. Where's the timer for this thing? 43 minutes. I'm glad people actually showed up. I mean, I feel like if there's anybody who watches me like on the East Coast, like this is like super late for them. Cause it's like 3 hours difference. So yeah, it's like inching on midnight for them. But I was like, I'm going to do a live after work because, again, I've been a bad YouTuber and I'm not up to date on my videos. Alrighty. Hi, Annette. I want to go to Atlanta. I've never been. And a friend of mine that I met out here, she's like, you need to go to Atlanta. I am glad you're here as well. I used to always be scared of doing lives because I was like, yeah, 8:45, we're in the same time zone. I was like, nobody's gonna show up, and then people show up. I mean, like it's not busting that at the seams, but I don't really care. It's like I really feel good about the people who consistently like to check in on me and like want to know what I'm up to. Like it feels really good. There's other people out there, especially considering like I don't really have family over here, so people like coming like I want to check in on you and I want to know what's going on. Like it feels great. The show closes August 4th. So I will be with Shotgun until August 4th. VA is great. Everybody, I don't know how many people know. I see you're from Virginia. I originally was in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So that's like my home. Chicago. I want to go to Chicago too. That's on my visit list. James, I just got busy with work. And like, I don't like throwing out talking head videos to throw something out. I've seen that on other channels where it's like, I'm just going to shoot this video from my front seat. Like, I like putting a little bit of effort. Like, I'm by no means like up to the standard of some of my favorite, like, especially van lifestyle YouTubers, like, like Nate from Element Van Life. Like, he does really like great videos. Obviously I'm a fan of Van City Van Life. Everybody see my Weirdos Unite stickers. And there's people who like are really, really good at editing. I want to strive to move more in that direction. Then I'm glad I turned somebody on to Chrome. I want to strive to work more towards editing and doing things interesting with editing, then except for live streams like this, just doing talking head videos where like I whine or something. I mean, sometimes I talk about serious subjects and I've definitely ranted and stuff, but I want there to be texture to my videos. I went to college in Towson University in Maryland. I'm just trying to catch these questions as they come up. Thank you. I like being called well-spoken. Nate is actually in the San Francisco area right now, and I've been desperately trying to like sync up with him, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I have emailed him a couple of times and he replied back, but like I've not been able to lock down meeting Nate from Element Van Life, which is frustrating because he's just in San Francisco. So that's kind of not cool with me. But as far as like, I just don't want to throw out like videos for the sake of throwing out videos as much as possible. I want to put a little more artistry into it. And so like that's been some of the delay is like I don't just have like this talking head video for like 5 minutes, and like I find those boring, so I don't want to deliver sort of that kind of video. But I'm hoping, like I'm planning, like I was on Amazon all night. I found like I think it's like 3 pieces of furniture I want to buy, and then I'll have to do some custom building around it. And like I like measured my van and drew out all these like micro plans. And so I'm hoping I can move forward with that within the next couple of weeks. That'll be really fun stuff, cool stuff to film. And yeah, that's sort of my plans coming up. I also am going to put out some of my older videos. Like I did one in Santa Barbara. I did one, I can't remember where I was, but it was on the trip back from LA. I shot like 3 different videos and I want to get all those out. And then I did a video about the power systems in my van, like what I'm using for power right now. My original solar generator, that thing finally was worthy of going in the trash and has gone in the trash. And so I'm powering up my devices and stuff in a different way. So I did a video about that. And so that's the stuff I want to be putting out within the next like a couple of weeks. And Monday is the day off, so I'm hoping I can spend some time like editing then, and then hopefully by Tuesday have a video out, and then like be consistent after that. In between this job, but this job's great. As you can tell, I'm rather happy. Maybe that's not good. Maybe I need to be a depressed YouTuber to actually like. No, I'm kidding. I love his setup with the pop top and awesome connections. Towson. Yeah, I remember Towson State University. Now it's just Towson University. State's dropped out of it. I've moved a bunch of stuff around in my van, but it's nothing worth like showing right now. Whereas like I definitely think I will be able in the next couple of weeks to actually do something significant. It's mostly I threw some stuff out. I got rid of that chest of drawers that I bought in the beginning because it kept falling over and I got sick of it and I couldn't find a good position for it in the van. And because it's plastic, it like bent really easy because it was plastic and not wood. So I ended up throwing that out. So I got rid of all my clothes so that I can fit them all in one bin under my bed. So I've minimized my clothes down to one bin, period. Oh, except for my socks and underwear. They're in another small little bin. So technically it's like a bin and a quarter. So I got rid of that. I got rid of something else I had in the van. Oh, I got rid of that shelf system I had behind the chair because that was just not working out. And so like I've rearranged a bunch of stuff in the van and like I feel like it's way more comfortable now. I have space. I don't want to be one of those minivans that's like super overloaded. Like I said, one of the people I look up to is Nate, and I think he's done an excellent job in a tiny space. And so that's sort of the level of minimalism in a smaller vehicle I'm sort of striving for. So yeah, I've moved some stuff around in the van. It definitely doesn't look like it did when I first threw my first plastic furniture up in there. But it's nothing like significant. It's sort of like bins are in a different place. I have less clothes, so there's more stuff under my bed that's complete storage. And I think minimalism in and itself is a journey. Like you're going to feel like, oh, I've got rid of a ton of stuff. And then you put it in your van and it's going to feel like you have the right amount of stuff. And then you're going to realize, is there some stuff I can get rid of so I can have like less clutter? And so it just happens over time. And it's definitely happened for me because I had a storage unit at one point and then I didn't want a storage unit. So then I just had to commit to getting rid of enough to not need a storage unit. And now I'm committing to not having more things around me than I can fit in the van. Full-time truck campers. I really like truck campers. Like I think they're awesome. Mate has a pretty good cooking show. Yes, Mate or Nate. He loves to cook himself some like food in that Instapot. Like he's like the Instapot wizard. But you know what, a weird thing for any Chrome fans who are on here, I actually went back and watched his one-day van build video, and it was insane remembering what that van looked like when he first started. Like it literally was a bare bones van with a bed thrown in it. And like it was just amazing going back to look at that. And Chrome's van in particular has evolved so much. And what I liked from him early on is he was trying to prove like you don't need all the things to start out. Like you just move in your van and you can build and construct and figure out your way as you go. And like people who are jumping on this channel now, they see this finished, truly beautiful van. And like they haven't seen him when like he didn't have insulation and he was still happy. Like he had no insulation. He didn't have a vent on top of his van. He didn't even have like cabinets. He hadn't even bought those pretty like cabinets he had for like the drawer systems he had for like he hadn't bought those yet. It was also sad seeing Disco again. But like to go back and see that original one-day van build video he did, and then to look at a video now, it's sort of a reminder that I haven't honestly I've been vehicle dwelling off and on since August of last year because that's when I became homeless. And I've only had the minivan since October of last year. And I just have to remind myself where I am now is perfectly fine. And the van is evolving in this slow way. And maybe possibly one day I'll have something as beautiful as Chrome has. But that will be mine, you know? And the thing is like, if you're really committed to the minimalism and the downsizing and the adventure of sort of giving up that standard way of life that we've been taught to strive for, you can get a lot out of van life. And I personally was in the weird situation of being forced into it. I hope nobody has to take this journey the way that I took it. But there was also a point of choice where I said, I'm going to move forward in this in a not ideal situation and make the best of it. And I feel like I have. So thank you for everybody for coming on. It has been like 55 minutes, so almost an hour. I actually do want to get out here and go lay in my bed because it was a long rehearsal day and I have to be back in early tomorrow. But I wanted to check in with everybody, let people know I'm in a positive place and not a negative one. And I want to like roll out some more videos. Like I haven't lost my passion for YouTube. I just lost my energy to do anything but figure out this show. And so it's been a little challenging figuring out how to balance both, because obviously I make no money from YouTube. Like it's a complete passion project. And it's hard to sometimes balance that passion project with the things I have to do for money when they become overly demanding in hours, no matter how much fun I'm having doing it. But I like being one of the counterpoints to van life glamour without being negative. Like I feel like people think there's only two views. There's like the glamorous van lifer who's like traveling from state to state, or the person that's like huddled in their van on like the city streets, like miserable. And there's more than two views to that. There's all this individualism in van life. And I see a bunch of people coming out with their fancy vans and like trying to imitate. So they're the bigger YouTubers, which I'm sure I'll never like be. Chrome was an exception. Like I think he was just like exceptional in like coming out and doing this with a bare bones van when he started and being like, I'm going to prove to you to do this. You don't need all that stuff they're trying to sell you. You don't need to spend like, $125,000 on a van. I don't know if you guys have seen that video. I forgot. Dave 2D made fun of them. It's really funny. They like customized this van, and I think it cost them like $125,000 or something like that. I might be making up that number, but look at Dave 2D. Anyway, good night. See you guys later. I'm going to bed. I hope I didn't miss any important comments. Congratulations to anybody who's starting the channel or starting their van life journey. All right. Good night.